So, without further ado, Susan Hunt.
I know I say this every time I see y'all, but y'all are so lucky to have Taylor working for you. You just don't understand how wonderful my cousin is. Hey, Kelly. I didn't know you were here. Yes. Well, my son was amazing. His birthday is next month. He would have been 21 years old. He was a heroin addict, and we didn't know about this until maybe 3 or 4 months before he passed away. We had talked about it. We knew there was some pot smoking and things like that going on, but he was great in school. We always joked about his claim to fame was he got his PADI certification when he was 10 years old, and he went down 100 feet off the coast of North Carolina and swam with black-tip reef sharks. And he was the only one out of the whole dive team when he went down that was able to touch the shark. So the shark came up to him and he put his hand out and he was hooked. So he was a scuba diver. He read Harry Potter from front to back when he was in 2nd grade. He was amazing. He was a caring and loving kid. He made friends with everybody that he knew. But we knew there was something going on. We didn't know for sure what. Found out there was marijuana use. Later on, he admitted to us that there was some heroin use. He was not, to my knowledge, an IV drug user. He snorted heroin. He didn't start out looking for heroin. He went to a party, and one of his best friends that I raised from the time he was 8 years old till Keaton's death had been at my house, taking him on trips with us, done everything with our family. He had been introduced to heroin, and I guess it was more like he didn't want to use by himself, so he shared with Keaton, his best friend, and they both ended up being addicted. Keaton had no idea it was heroin when they shared it with him. He just said, "You got to try this. Man, this is awesome." So after the 2nd or 3rd time, Keaton was hooked and said, "Man, what is this?" And his friend said it was heroin, and Keaton busted out crying. He was ashamed. He hid it from us. Finally, he had gotten into some trouble, was arrested, went to jail because he had started selling pot, got arrested and went to jail. And part of his probation was that he either passed a drug test or he went into drug treatment. He didn't say, "Mom, I want to go to drug treatment." Pretty much the probation officer said, "You're going to jail or you're going to drug treatment." So he went to Asheville. He went to Crestview. He was there for 25 days. He got kicked out for having fake urine in his room. That's how he was passing all the drug tests, because I think he was probably using the whole time he was there. I don't know. So when he got home, him and his girlfriend went to High Point to pay back a drug dealer some money that he owed him. And his girlfriend went into the Family Dollar. When she came out, there was ambulances at the car. Fire truck was there. He had overdosed in the car for the first time. They took him to High Point Hospital, where, looking back at the records, they kept him for 8 or 9 hours and let him go. And because of HIPAA, and he's 20 years old, even though he's using my insurance card and I'm a teacher with a state health plan. Nobody told me. And I didn't find this out until after he died, and I started getting bills from High Point Regional. I'm like, we didn't go to High Point Regional. He had the bills sent to my rental property, and my renter was out of town. So I didn't know. So we were talking. This is crazy. My son sends me signs all the time because I still talk to him every day. But I was just thinking, you know, I make cakes, and I have to share this real quick. It doesn't have anything to do with anything, but I have to share this with you. I make pound cakes. I don't make German chocolate cakes. Did y'all enjoy did you know that was German chocolate? I don't make German chocolate cakes. Last night, I made 2 German chocolate cakes for a lady who had ordered them a few days ago. These are signs that my son sends me. I hadn't eaten a German chocolate cake in 15 years, never made one in my life. And I made 2 last night, and there was one here. Taylor knows. Signs. That German chocolate cake is getting me through this because the shame. What should I have done? And the hardest thing is he was very, very ashamed because when he went to rehab, he said, Mama, please don't tell anybody. Just tell them I'm in Asheville doing some work because they're going to treat me like a drug addict for the rest of my life if they find out I'm going to rehab. So I didn't tell anybody. And I'm teetering on that seesaw because he was so embarrassed and ashamed whether I should be telling all his business. You know, like he would say, Mama, don't tell my business. But that German chocolate cake is my sign that I continue to do the right thing. That's his sign to me, Mama, it's okay. So I got the phone call about 2 weeks after his first overdose that I didn't know about. 8:10 on a Monday night on June 10th, I got a phone call, and I thought it was from his girlfriend. So I said, "Hey, girl, is this Susan Hunt?" I said, "Yes, sir." And I knew it. I said, "Yes, it is." He said, "Do you have a son named Keaton Hunt?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do." He said, "I'm sorry to inform you he's been involved in an overdose." So we got in the car. I was screaming. I don't know why my husband let me get in the car, but we got in the car. I drove to McDonald's on Fayetteville Street in Asheboro, and I could look through the door. My son was laying in the bathroom floor, and they were giving him CPR. And I was screaming and banging on the window. This is my firstborn. This is my only son. And they told me they were going to put me in handcuffs if I didn't settle down. And I laid on the concrete, and I screamed. And I screamed. And as God would have it, my pastor and 2 other pastors at our church were 2 minutes away. My daughter called them. She's 12. She was with us. They wouldn't let her up to the window. She called my pastor. My pastor came. We prayed. My pastor never left my side. They found a pulse after 20 minutes. Took him to Randolph Hospital. Showed me the CT scan that was black as a balloon. He was brain dead. And the first thing I said was, please don't unplug those machines because he's an organ donor. So they tried to find a hospital to take him. Randolph is in a bit of a turmoil. We got moved to Forsyth. When I got to Forsyth, or actually back at Randolph, the team, what do you call him, Taylor? The family coordinator guy? I don't remember his name. Black man, loved him, could eat him up to this day. But I had two of them that were shifting back and forth, and I couldn't remember who it was. But anyway, he kind of was shocked because he was standing there when I was talking to the doctors, and he said, Miss Hunt, we're really not supposed to bring that up at this juncture, but since you mentioned it, can we get the paperwork started? I said, yes, get the paperwork started. Do not cut off those damn machines. Do not cut those machines off. So, went on to Forsyth. Good as gold. They never, ever, ever left my side. Carolina Donor Services was there. I stayed with him. This happened June 10th. I think they turned the machine backward or whatever it is they do on June 12th. And anytime he would have to go to the bathroom, he was watching over Keaton. You know, the nurses kept walking in and saying, God, that's a good-looking boy. Good-looking boy. But the Carolina Donor Services representative never left my side. He would go to get something to eat. I mean, he was there for 15 hours. I was like, please go get something to eat. He said, well, I'm just going to run downstairs. Here's my cell phone number. I'm going to run right down just to get a cup of coffee, and I'm coming right back. They guarded him like he was the unknown soldier. I'm telling you. They were so good to us. So, Keaton got on the elevator. Supposed to happen at 8 o'clock. Got on the elevator at 8:30 when the surgeons came in. For lack of a better word, they bowed to him. They were so respectful. They hugged all the family and said, thank you so much for what we were doing. But this was Keaton's idea. He wanted to be an organ donor since before he put it on his license. We talk about it all the time. This was very special to him. He was a very caring and giving person, and it does go right along with what these folks were saying up here. This was just his nature. He wanted to help people. When he was 19, almost to turn 20, his childhood friend who had Down syndrome, who he had been friends with since kindergarten, had a poster. She was 23 years old, but she had a poster that Keaton drew for her when they were in first grade. And it said, Cassie is my friend. She is my favorite friend, and I will love her forever. She had Down syndrome. She called Keaton, hadn't talked to him in 10 years probably. She was going to her homecoming at her school. And she called Keaton. Her mother called me and said, do you think Keaton would do it? And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think he just doesn't want to he doesn't want to call attention to himself, and he doesn't like being in the spotlight. I said, I just don't know if he's going to do that or not. I said, I'll ask him and I'll call you back. So I had asked him, this was when he was 19, and said, do you want to take Cassie? He said, Mom, I got to work. He said, what am I going to tell him at work? Because I'm taking her. And he went and he took her, and he was using the whole time, but Mama didn't know it. He took her to her homecoming, and she got homecoming princess. He was that kind of a kid. I was with him every day. I never knew all this. I couldn't see it. I was with him every day. There were over 500 people at his funeral on Father's Day. They live streamed it from our church. He was a loving and caring kid. I don't think he was an IV drug user. He was scared to go to the doctor and get his finger pricked. They had to put him down and lay him down whenever he got his finger pricked. So all his friends, everybody. He's not an IV drug user. Of course, I don't have the results back. It'll be over a year before I can get his results back, so I have no idea what he finally died of. I have no idea. But I've made it my mission to go around and talk to kids to tell them you cannot touch these drugs. I'm a teacher at Asheboro High School, and I go around to youth groups. I've done Facebook posts, I've done YouTube videos. You cannot touch this stuff, and I'm trying to tell the kids, but I'm also trying to tell the parents what to look for. Things I could have looked, that I look back and go, oh my God, why didn't I see that? I've never used drugs like that. I don't know what to look for. I have no idea. I knew about smoking pot. I didn't know anything about heroin. Nothing. And my child lived well. He was not some backstreet whatever. And his drug dealer was not a black guy with dreadlocks. His drug dealer was a white guy with 2 kids. He was 35 years old, within walking distance of our house. That's where these drugs are coming from. And I cannot do it. I cannot live. So when I go talk to these kids, first thing I do, Taylor's got me these little bracelets. When I'm on stage, I throw about 150 of them on the stage. And I tell all the kids, if you're going to be a drug user, you might as well go ahead and sign up to be an organ donor so your parents can get through it when you die. And I know that's not the way you want to sell organ donation, but I'm telling you right now, whatever works, right? I've given out probably 300 or 400 of these bracelets. And I'll let the kids take their phones out while they're in school and go straight to the website and sign up while I'm there. We've got a large Hispanic community, and it's in Spanish and it's in English. And these kids are signing up for organ donation. I'm passing out Narcan. I've got Narcan at school. I've got Narcan in my car. Because if somebody had been in that McDonald's with my son, he might have been alive today. But he was in there on a Monday night at 8 o'clock. There wasn't nobody else in there. And I'm going to tell you, the reason that I started speaking about this was they left the drive-thru open at McDonald's. People were coming and getting food. I'm laying in the middle of the parking lot screaming. But the line kept going through. And one of the kids that found Keaton was a student at Asheboro High School. And he said, screaming out the door, Miss Hunt, I'm the one that found him. And I said, I'm so sorry you had to see that. I'm so sorry. But he had had a note. He'd pulled down that little koala bear changing table in the stall and had aluminum foil, something else that they use for drugs. And the kid saw a piece of paper with writing on it, so he was telling everybody that he committed suicide, that Keaton committed suicide. And I'm telling you, if it hadn't have been for that kid, I don't know that I would have come out and said my child died in an overdose. I would have probably been like everybody else. Well, he hit his head in the bathroom, or he had an aneurysm. That's the big thing. He had an aneurysm. Or seizures. My son died of seizures. Well, he had seizures because he was a friggin' drug addict. That's why he had seizures. Because it's pissing me off now that my other friends whose kids have passed away, or they know kids, oh, he died of an aneurysm, and they'll whisper to me, because he was a drug addict. Well, you better start saying it. because these kids have no idea that they are going to die if they use these drugs. Because everybody, oh no, they died of a seizure. They died of, no, you better stop. That's the reason I'm saying stuff now, is because they were going to say my child committed suicide. You know what was on that paper? He was supposed to go get his oil changed. He had to check on the registration for his truck, and he had to be in court the next day for a continuance. Those were the 3 things that were written on there. But the kids saw it and said, committed suicide in the bathroom. That's why I said, I don't know why drug overdose is better than suicide. But for my knowing my child, there wasn't suicide. And I'm glad that kid told that, because this is the reason that I'm here today. And another reason I'm here today is because Keaton is alive. And my friend Kathy Matthews, she has got his kidney and his liver. So she knows when I come up to him, I was going back here where the kidney was to touch her, and she said, no, my new kidney's up here. This one just disintegrates, and this one's up here. I was like, oh. So every time I go, I touch her like she's having a baby. How you doing, Keaton? She got very, very lucky. I told her she hit the jackpot because my son never drank a soda. All he drank was water. He ran, he swam. She's taken real good care of it. But we have become good friends. So we wanted to come to you today to show you the full circle. I'm here, and y'all were all out in the hallway laughing and joking. And I felt like I wanted to laugh and joke, but then I thought, that's going to be disrespectful to my son. I know, I'm working on that. It's only been June, so I'm trying to get over that. But I know that he's looking down. I know that German chocolate cake was here because of a reason. He's telling me, Mama, you're doing good and you're doing what you're supposed to do. Because Keaton would never, ever want anybody to go through this. Ever. My only son. I had him when I was 36 years old. But he's got a little sister who I had when I was 42. Don't ask me questions. 42. But I love her. She's my girl. We are in this together. So she helps me every single day get through this. But I agree about these stories. You've got to tell these stories to these kids. You've got to tell stories to these donor families. And if I could be at every death or on the verge of every death with people who were not organ donors, I gotta tell them that it will help you tremendously. It helps me knowing that there are Kathy and 2 other people that have not contacted me yet. Because when I saw you, I was like, does he look 60? Does he look like a salesman? Because that's like Keaton's heart. He got his heart. I was like, Kathy, we got to ask him what it was. Because it might be Keaton's heart. I don't know where his heart is. I can't find his heart. I'm putting a bounty. I got to find his heart, and I got to find the pancreas and the other liver. Other kidney. But I got to tell you real quick how me and Kathy met. I got 5 minutes or what? 5 minutes? Because I want Kathy to say something real quick. But I was on Facebook, and I had put out a video that they shot when we were at the church. And I read exactly what the what the recipients say that they want me to know about who's getting my son's organs. And I read it on Facebook, everything the 3 of them said. And one of Kathy's friends saw it.
Crazy friend.
One of her crazy friends saw it and said, I don't know what's going on, but I think this might be somebody you need to look at. So I'm sitting in that same chair, and I get a text, and she says to me, I hope I'm not bothering you, but I think I'm the recipient of your son's liver and his kidney. And I about fell on the floor. But there she is, and she's alive, and she's well, and she's my friend. You want to come up and say something, my sweet friend?
I don't know if I can.
Can she say something real quick? Of course. Come here, Miss Kathy. Clap for Kathy. She's awesome. Oh, stop. Get up and tell them how wonderful Keaton's stuff is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Whew. It's hard to follow her story. I just don't know how to follow her. But I told her I was going to wing it today because the last time we spoke together, I had a big, long speech. It was really good, too. But the first thing I have to say is that every time I'm asked to share my story, especially with Susan, I'm just so honored. I am just so, like you said, the gratitude, being grateful, the hope for my future now, because we didn't know I was going to even make it to Christmas, which was only 6 months after my transplant. You have all those feelings, but the biggest thing is that knowing that I can comfort her and her family is just amazing. It's just the whole thing is just amazing. But I have, my 3 words that I usually sum up my story with, and that's God, Keaton, and gratitude. I'm going to use it in closer to the beginning this time because without those 2, I wouldn't be standing here today. And I was really, really sick. Like I said, I was very close. My doctor said, my liver team, at Duke, said that they would take anything for me, any organ for me at that point. But we were blessed, and God made sure that I got a healthy set of organs. And I felt better the minute I woke up. Still had that breathing thing in my, and I was looking for my husband, but I felt better the minute I woke up. So for anyone who is, anywhere near the operating room or in this process, especially at the hospital clinical, I felt better that quick. And I knew my life had been changed forever. And the day I got the letter from Susan, my coordinator had called me and said, I got this letter. Do you want me to save it for your appointment next week, or do you want me to mail it? I went to that mailbox every day, 2-3 times a day, just to see if I got that letter. I got that letter. And thank God that she said that she wished and hoped that one day she would be able to give me a hug. And it came true. I'm sorry. See, if I had my written speech, I probably wouldn't be crying as much. But anyway, but the organ donation, and I never really thought about it. I mean, I had it on my driver's license because my husband was a donor, and he said, you need to do this. Okay. I never really thought about it until I needed it. And now I tell my story to everyone else. I could stay up here all day long, but we don't have that much time. And it's just so important. It's just because, and they were talking about it earlier, every person that I talk to is impacted. And then say I talk to you and you go home to your wife or your mom or your, brother, and you say, hey, I heard this person's story today and this is what she went through, and this is, and then also about Susan, how, redemption and the pride that you must feel knowing that your son did this. I can't imagine. But every person that I touch, she touches, and anybody that I touch touches, and so on and so forth, is impacted. And if we get just one more organ donor and one more life saved, it's worth it. It's to me, it's worth it. But I'm glad to be here today. I again am honored and just so grateful and thankful that somebody wants to hear my story, and that Susan allows me to be a part of this amazing journey that it seems that we're on now. So, but
we're booking all over the state. Call Taylor, she'll book us whatever you want us to do.
There you go. There you
go.
go.
Spread the word.
But thank you very much.